Good to see you, Mike. Thanks for being able to join.
Hi,
Can you hear me okay? Awesome. So, Mike, did you get a copy of the agenda?
I did.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. I think the items you're probably most interested in are towards the top, but feel free to stay for the other things too if you'd like. All
So
right.
my item was at the bottom.
It got moved.
It got moved. I didn't see the new one.
Got moved in the one that was posted. Yeah, it was on the bottom though.
That's helpful.
Okay, awesome. So I call this meeting of the EEF, the Englewood Environmental Foundation Board to order. It's 4:01 p.m. on Wednesday, August 12th. August 2nd, and we're conducting this meeting via Zoom. Thank you. Huge shout out to Michelle Chavez for coordinating this meeting and for organizing it and all of the backup information. Michelle, Tamara just sent an email. Do you mind following up with her maybe on Teams if you have a second to just make sure she can get in? That'd be great. Thank you. All right, so call the meeting to order. For second item is approval of minutes. So we have two. Can I get a motion to approve the May 15, 2023 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 15th, 2023 minutes.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Hearing no abstentions and no no's, motion passes with a voice vote. And can I get a motion to approve the minutes of June 30th, 2023?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 30th, 2023.
Great. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. All those opposed, abstaining, I don't hear any. So by a voice vote, it passes unanimously. Great. On to number 3, recognition of public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment wishing to address the board? Okay, great. So we're on to 4 new business. Tamara, is that you on the phone?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. Yep.
Okay.
We can.
Excellent.
So we are under new business. So the first 2 items on the agenda are consideration of EEF-City contract and then EEF dissolution. And I believe you had wanted the EEF-City contract on the agenda. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. This is a proposed contract between EEF and the city that isn't necessarily related to dissolution of EEF, but it is a step in the process. So the contract proposes that EEF essentially transfers its assets to the city of Englewood. The city agrees to take the assets and then any, of course, liabilities that may be affiliated with, say, the real property, the city agrees to take that on. It also would authorize the city to assume all EEF contracts. So for the Civic Center maintenance, for example, the city would agree to assume those contracts and assume any of EEF's liabilities under those contracts. As we just got the title reports back, that's what we were waiting on for the transfer of title of real property. And I've asked Sarah Rockwell's firm, they looked at the contract from a real estate perspective and amended it and finalized it. So I've asked their firm to go through the title report and give us a summary report of any liens or other clouds on the title that may need to be addressed before we can close on the property. And so I think I CC'd Tim on that email today, and that would be the only thing we would wait on for the closing.
And Tamara, and this is my fault, there is not a contract attached to the agenda. The contract I was able to find is one that you sent me on May 9th. That's called the City Agreement for Dissolution, Assumption, Indemnification. Is that the one we're talking about?
Well, I could look on my laptop, except I apparently no longer have a hotspot on my phone, so I can't reach any of my documents on my laptop, so I'm trying to look on my cell phone.
No worries.
I would
If,
be happy.
oh, go ahead.
Well, I would be happy to forward the latest version of the contract. I suspect I haven't my sent items that I can access from my cell phone, but
No worries. So if it's okay with you, Tamara, I probably wouldn't want to bring it up for a board vote without the two other members seeing the agreement. So if you're okay, maybe we could use this item today to get questions from Jackie and Christina about what such a document could include and to see if they're amenable to it. And then if you're okay sending me the final draft in the next couple of days, and we can just do a quick follow-up meeting, maybe next week even, to review and approve it. Would that be amenable?
yep, that sounds great.
Okay, great. Thank you. So based on what Tamara shared, Jackie and Christina, do you have any thoughts or questions or concerns? Or things you'd like to see in such a contract?
Yeah, I think we need to. So in addition to the EEF board member, Tim, who might be helpful for the board to make decision to review the contract?
I mean, Mike, do you think this is something that, I mean, I wouldn't think this would need to be reviewed by CAM members. I mean, the only thing I could think of is on the city side that Tamara represents, obviously city stakeholders, but I can't think of any other EEF stakeholders that would need to see it.
I agree. I think, and I have this on the city council agenda. Of course, in this process, I represent the city of Englewood, not EEF, which is why Tim and I had discussed that EEF definitely needs its own representation, and Mike certainly is, you know, would serve in that role well if he's comfortable with that. So if after EEF looks at it and makes any proposed revisions and approves it, then I plan to bring it to city council for approval.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't, and feel free, Tamara, you can send it to Mike, Jackie, and Christina and I, or just send it to me and I'll forward it to Mike, Christina, and Jackie, but I'd like Mike and the board to review it. And then once you've had a chance to review it, Michelle, I'll reach out to you to schedule a meeting to approve it. Does that work? All right. Thanks, Tamara. Any?
For me.
All right. We'll go on to EEF dissolution. So, Mike, I don't know if you're comfortable kicking this one off, but I really just kind of want to see, you know, what it is we need to be doing to prepare for possible dissolution. So, just so the board knows, I did meet with Mike and one of his partners, Stephen, I believe, with Sean Lewis in October to kind of start the process. One of the things we need to do is inform the IRS. So I've given Mike direction and his partner, Stephen, to write that letter to the IRS and determine if we need to reach out to the Secretary of State's office of Colorado. We also, Mike, reviewed, we have a CAM addendum that I'd like him to talk a little bit about with EEF, with RTD to determine if we need to do anything on that. And then finally, Mike, I'd like guidance about how to engage the CAM members in the dissolution process.
Okay. Well, the process of dissolution will be covered, it sounds like, in the city contract, in that you got to transfer your assets back to the city, and that will be accomplished with deeding the property and perhaps the contract itself. Once I take a look at it, there are two CAM agreements. One is the basic master, what I call the master CAM agreement, which calls for maintenance of all the public areas in the city center. And that has a provision that originally appointed Eve as the maintenance director, and has a provision that allows the maintenance director to resign, at which, by giving 90 days written notice. And during that 90 days, the stakeholders, which I'll mention in a minute, then vote on a successor maintenance director. The stakeholders are Walmart, Eve, the owner of the commercial property, and the owner of the apartments. However, the vote is based on dollar for dollar how much they pay into the CAM. And my understanding is that Eve has, perhaps with one other member, has a majority of the money being paid in, so they would have the vote. And so I think what needs to be done is either to call a meeting of the four, or if you have a consensus that they would, of who you want, and that the others would sign off, you may be able to do it without a meeting and just a written approval. But nevertheless, you have to have a vote, and you have to have a new maintenance director. That maintenance director doesn't necessarily have to be one of the stakeholders. It could be anyone. Or as in the case that you have now, where you have Eve as the maintenance director, but it then delegates out and enters into contracts for various of the maintenance functions, snow removal, perhaps concrete repair, landscaping, etc. The second CAM is with RTD, and that CAM arises under intergovernmental agreement between RTD and the city. And the city assumed certain maintenance obligations with regard to the RTD facility, including the bus area. And the city assigned that to EEF. And so, in addition to the contract, I think it's probably a good idea to have a specific assignment of that obligation back to the city. And then there's an agreement in the RTD CAM which kind of ties in the master agreement and says whoever the maintenance director is under the master agreement would be the maintenance director under the RTD. RTD doesn't have a say, you just have to notify them who the successor maintenance director is going to be. So that would require, to take care of the RTD CAM, it requires two things: an assignment of RTD CAM back to the city, and a notification to RTD of the successor maintenance director. I don't know, Tim, whether or not there's been an agreement on who the new maintenance director will be when EEF goes out of existence.
No, nothing I'm aware of. So I have several questions. That's been a great rundown, Mike. I really appreciate it. I have several questions, but first, Christina and Jackie, do you have questions?
No, I'm good.
All right, so Mike, I think the first question I had is, and I know Tamara, you're not here to advise us, but this question maybe could be helpful if you had any insight. With a 90-day period, I'm wondering when we should exercise that vote to consider resignation. I mean, Tamara, do you have any thoughts based on the timeline you're working on?
No, I think you could do it now. Nothing prohibits you from doing it now and just getting the successor in place. That's yet another prerequisite step to dissolution. So it would have to occur before dissolution, but it doesn't mean it has to occur just immediately prior.
Yeah, I'm just thinking with the written 90-day notice.
I agree with Tamara. I would do it now.
Okay.
You don't have to have the successor in mind or recommended now. But you ought to start the process because you're gonna have a 90-day delay, whenever you give that notice before you can complete the dissolution. And I know there's some, push to get it, completed as soon as you can.
So if we resign today, then it would be effective.
Yeah, you won't resign today, you just give a notice that you are resigning.
Well, yeah, I mean, we would
Effective
say we're
90 days.
resigning, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't go into effect until November 2nd.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's one item we could consider after we finish going through these. Yeah, the second one, Mike, is and I really appreciate, I think you did a good job kind of laying out the CAM stakeholders. We did, as you know, a while back, we kind of did an informal poll. Never heard back from Walmart, did hear back from the property and the apartments that were both interested in a third party. I'm just confused about the way the CAM is written. If we are the majority party,
Are you the majority?
does that mean we could just make the decision, or
Yes. Are you the majority?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what, who's paying in and what the amounts are. I know who's paying in, but I don't know what the amounts are.
What, Jackie, is that something Kevin would have? No. Who would have that information?
Well, who takes care of billing out the CAM expense?
Yeah, I thought it was Kevin.
Yeah, the finance department is sending, so what is information is required?
We want to know what the other entities are paying into the CAM.
I think we have the information sent out, but we can,
It would be for last year. It has to be the last calendar year,
yeah.
January 1 to December 31, 2022.
Okay, so we can send information to the board, each board member, including Mike.
Yeah, so that would be great, Jackie. So what we need to know is what
And
each of,
participants.
so what each of the 4 CAM members paid in
Total-
2022.
Total dollars paid for the calendar year.
I think that's based on percentage,
Pardon?
based on percentage, not a dollar amount.
No, it should be dollar amount. The CAM talks about dollar amount.
Because this depend upon how much the city pull into for the OM maintenance, then each CAM participant will have a fixed percentage, I believe. We can double check because the city's maintenance costs are different every year.
Well, no, we understand that, but there should be a budget for the CAM. And there's.
So let me clarify the question. Do you want to know the percentage each CAM participant? You want the 2023 budget or you want 2022 actuals?
I want the 2022 actuals. I need the total amount of the CAM costs and how much each participant paid in dollar wise.
Okay, yeah, we do have that information. 2022 actuals by CAM participants.
Yes. Once you have that, Tim, I can answer the question. If ETH is the majority, has paid in 51% of the dollar amount, then it can make the decision itself. Although it should be done at a meeting so that other parties have a right to express their views.
Yep.
But ETH would have the controlling vote. If it does not have 51%, then it's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be close to that. You'll need one other party to go along with you.
Okay, great. So then the third thing, Mike, I wanted to tackle is the CAM with RTD. So you mentioned the 2 things that need to happen are assignment of the RTD CAM back to the city and then a notification to RTD.
Yes.
Great. So how would the assignment of RTD CAM back to the city work? Like when should we do that? Should we wait until the master CAM is satisfied and then do it?
Right around the time that you dissolve, when you're no longer going to be doing any of the maintenance responsibility.
Okay, so that's the one we can kind of wait on then, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as I see it, and please Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's kind of 3 action steps. One is that we could do today, is for the board to resign as the maintenance manager effective 3 months from now. The second one is the CAM vote, which we need to get the information from finance on. And then once we get that information, we can hold that vote. And then the third one is the RTD CAM, which we'll do last once everything else is settled. Is that right, Mike?
Correct.
Great, can we?
There's one other item that I did not cover in the overview. You mentioned, do we need to reach out to the Secretary of State? What we need to do is to file a plan of dissolution and then articles of dissolution. It's a rather formalistic, simple document that we can prepare and have available for the next board meeting, which could be voted on then. You file, I think it's a notice of liquidation first, and then you have a time to wind up the affairs of the company before it's actually dissolved. But I'll get you those documents that can be presented and approved by the board.
Great, and then you and Stephen are also going to handle the IRS letter, right?
Yes, that will go out after the dissolution is completed.
Okay. Great, so on the first one, then the EEF board voting to resign as the maintenance manager, Mike, is that particular motion wasn't on the agenda today? Could we still entertain that motion?
Yes, I think so.
I do
Okay.
have a question though.
Yeah.
Because the CAM agreement, there are 2 parts, right, Mike? One is a property management, the other is billing we talk about. So if EEF resigned today, we're going to vote, then we can determine the property management piece. And how would the billing be handled? Do you think the property management company we choose can do the billing as well? Or the city team need to continue doing the billing, or there's no restrictions?
No, it's part of the same agreement. It's all in the CAM. And the maintenance director is responsible to prepare the billing, the budget and the billing. So whoever the new maintenance director is will be responsible for handling that piece as well.
Great, thank you. So it's not only just property management, also budget and also billing.
Yes,
Will all be handled by this property management director.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I'll entertain a motion if there is one, for the EEF board to resign as the maintenance manager of the EEF CAM.
I'll motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great, I'll open it up for discussion. Mike, is there anything you want to add on this before we vote on this?
I don't think so. I don't think you have much choice. If EEF is going to be dissolved, it won't be around to act as the maintenance director. So by definition, you're going to be resigning. Doing it now simply keeps this dissolution process moving forward.
Great, and you mentioned, Mike, that we need to provide written notice. Who does that? Number one, would you be okay drafting that written notice? And number 2, who does it get sent to? The CAM members?
Yes,
Okay, are you okay drafting that notice?
sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor then of the EEF board, actually I'll do an individual vote. But all those in favor of the EEF board voting to resign as the maintenance manager for the EEF CAM effective November 2nd, 2023. Member Underhill, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Lowe, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Dodd, I vote yes. It's unanimous with 3 members and all being present. Great. That's one big step, right, Tamara?
Yes.
Awesome. So Mike, yeah, thank you for taking that on. If you could just either copy me on the letters or emails or just send me an email once you've sent them out, just so I have that record. That would be great.
Well, I think they'll go out over your name, over your signature. So
Okay, that's
I'll
totally
prepare
fine
it for
too.
your signature.
Yeah, if you can just coordinate that then with Michelle so she can
Yep.
get the signature and whatnot. All right, well, Mike and Tamara, you're more than welcome to stay. We're gonna move on to, we have many other items. You're more than welcome to stay, and I'm sure you'd have great.
If I could be excused, I would appreciate it.
You're excused, but you're welcome to stay if you want. All
Thanks.
right, well, have a good
I-
afternoon if you choose to leave.
I'm going to log off as well. I've got a 4:30, but thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for both of you. Have a great day.
Bye.
All right, EDDA flags on streetlights along Englewood Parkway, request for approval. I believe the director of the Englewood Downtown Development Authority, Hillary Portel, is here and see her on camera. Hi, Hillary. We'll
Hi.
turn it over to you for a presentation.
Okay, so I submitted my presentation last month. Do I need to find
Do
it?
you want me to, I could share it, or,
Perfect.
man, I'm really out of touch with Zoom. I use Teams so much nowadays. There we go.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Tim. Great to see everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to make this proposal. The DDA has been, go ahead and go to the next slide, working very closely with the City Community Development Department, your organization, and many other city agencies to kind of keep the city center area activated and stabilized, with your organization taking the lead on that effort. As you know, high vacancies and low foot traffic in the area have resulted in nuisance activity, crime and safety concerns, and a sense that the area is in decline. From an economic development and marketing perspective, we cannot allow that to take hold. It's really important to keep the area safe, inviting, and marketable while the property is being presented for development investment, while we have other retail tenants and multifamily communities in place, and while long-term redevelopment planning is underway. So we've all been involved in this comprehensive strategy that has included, EEF's private security work, the police response, the maintenance you all have been doing, homeless outreach services that All Health Network is involved in, and then the DDA role is to support the effort with vacant space activation and marketing investments. Just wanted to real quick give you an update. So we're trying this new pilot program to fill the vacant spaces on the ground floor of the Art Walk apartments that are on the other side of Civic Center, on the other side of the fountain, with several nonprofit entities. One is Redline Contemporary Art Center. The Guild is a small business incubator, and Historic Englewood is a local nonprofit. And the idea is to create kind of a synergy of activity between in that Civic Center core area. These entities are all willing to occupy the space and to program it and to participate in events in the Civic Center area as part of their participation in the City Spark program. We're almost there with L&R Partners to do a license agreement that would allow for each nonprofit to occupy a suite of spaces or a larger exhibit space for no rent for a 12-month period. They do have to pay for their own utilities and carry their own insurance and comply with any city building code issues. But L&R is willing to offer a stipend to allow them to do very modest improvements. This is meant to be sort of pop-up temporary space. So very hopeful that we can get those deals done in the next 30 days and get those groups moving in the early fall. Next slide. We're also providing some supplementary funding to support Christina's special events team in City Center as it relates to the summer market series, the concert series, and the holiday market in December. Next slide.
So as part of the marketing, we would like to ask for permission to hang branded banners on streetlights along Englewood Parkway and in the Civic Center Circle area. These are banners that are branded for downtown Englewood and informed by the city's Made in Englewood theme, which separates our flair for the unique, our self-made attitude and spirit of entrepreneurialism. We've already hung the banners along South Broadway. We hope to do a few on Old Hamden as well. The banners for City Center would measure 24 inches wide by 48 inches high. They would be placed with the bottom of the banner 8.5 feet above the ground so that they don't interfere with other signage and trees and things. The proposed placement is the next slide, Tim. So there are 18 recommended locations. The existing pedestrian poles shown on the right, many of them are, these are older amenities that many of them have gotten their hardware, the brackets that would hold the banners up have been broken or vandalized over time. So we'll have to install some temporary hardware too. We're proposing 18 locations along Englewood Parkway from Galapago Street to the Circle and then around the Civic Center Circle. We would use existing poles and brackets where they exist. We would install new hardware where they don't exist. And I can show you a photo of that if you'd like. The new hardware includes 2 fiberglass poles with end caps, 2 mounting brackets, and 4 steel bands on each pole. Grommets at the top and the bottom of the banners would be securely attached to the hardware. We've chosen locations that would allow for visibility from the street. So we would propose installing the banners facing outside into the street rather than inside into the walkway, so we can maximize visibility for motorists as well as pedestrians. And we're also selecting sites that don't interfere with mature trees and have higher visibility. We would propose to have these up for about a year to coincide with the program in other parts of downtown, unless redevelopment planning and other factors come into play, in which case we can have them removed. And we would be investing about $6,000 into this program for design, fabrication, and installation. Any comments or questions?
Yes,
As I was on
Hillary.
mute.
Yes, I do have a question. If I hear you correctly, EDDA is asking EEF board to give free rent to Redline Contemporary Arts Center, the Guild, and Historic Englewood. Am I correct?
No. We're asking permission from EEF to hang the banners on the pedestrian light poles that, as I understand it, EEF owns. The City Spark property is owned by L&R Partners. So we have to negotiate that license agreement with L&R Partners.
Okay, because Guild is paying a small monthly rent to the city. So I just want to make sure, does that mean the city will not receive the monthly rent?
No, it's a completely different arrangement.
Okay,
And the Guild would expand into the City Spark spaces, but maintain their headquarters and current use in the current building as well. They've got a waiting list. It's a program that's working for them.
so LNR will be working with these 3 entities then.
L&R would be the property owner, and their property management firm would be their landlord representative.
Okay, thank you. Do you know how long these entities may get this space? As for a year, or we do not know? It's up to LNR.
We are setting it up with LNR for an initial 1-year term, after which the arrangement would go on a month-to-month basis until and if the parties wish to change the terms. So that the nonprofits know this is temporary space. This is not a long-term permanent arrangement. The spaces themselves are not Class A finished. You know, it's for pop-up use. But it gives them an opportunity, each of them, to try to explore and grow a new model. So Historic Englewood would like to come up with historic exhibits and videos and explore the notion of a permanent museum sometime. The Guild would like to be more of a business incubator and have workshops and training for small businesses at City Spark and also from around the city. Redline has affordable studios for local artists to help cultivate the local art community.
Yeah, thank you. Do you know when this might happen?
No.
No. Okay.
I think we're getting very close, and my dearest hope would be within the next 30 days. But each tenant is going to have to do some improvements, basic things like painting and washing windows and things like that. It'll be a phased thing, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Christina, do you have any questions?
I do not. I think this is a great idea to activate the banners around this area, the Civic Center, bring a little life to the space.
Yeah, I agree. And I just had one, I think this is phenomenal, Hillary. Obviously, you're the expert on placemaking, but from what I know, my limited experience, I think banners can go a long way with placemaking. I've seen many examples. My hometown actually does a banner program now with to feature veterans who are from the hometown. I've driven through a few small towns in Colorado that have, you know, high school graduates or student athletes. And so I think it's great that we're focused on this theme of Made in Englewood, but I'm wondering, is there a plan to rotate the banners every so often? And if so, are there other themes that, you know, the EDDA is wishing to explore by doing this?
Oh yeah, these are not permanent. They're marketing tactics. Right now, I need them to last at least a year, budget wise, but we would definitely be changing them out. The purpose is to activate and market the downtown as a kind of vibrant, welcoming place to visit, to live in, to move a business in, and to invest in.
No, I think that's great. And I guess I would just maybe make a plug or an interest that I think that's definitely the priority, but I also think along with that, kind of highlighting like what makes Englewood special, you know, is a big part of it. And so the business community is a key part of that. But I also think some themes involving individuals or events or other initiatives, I think could also be really interesting to try to, you know, build a sense of community as well.
Yeah.
Great. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve these banners to go up around the Civic Center.
Great. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously by voice vote. Thanks, Hillary, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, have a good day. All right, great. So next, thank you for your patience, Hillary, and thank you, Vanessa and Lucia, for your patience. There's a lot, this is a big meeting. We have a lot going on. So the next item is the Englewood mural. So I'll turn it over to Lucia and Vanessa.
Yes, hey guys. This was initially a idea that we had for this summer. Unfortunately, it did not happen. So this is something we are looking for next summer, and we do understand with EEF possibly dissolving that this might be null and void, but we still wanted to give you guys a little overview of what we're thinking in case you guys are part of the new reiteration of what is happening with the Civic Center area in redevelopment. So we'll make it brief. Okay. So this is part of our ongoing Uniquely Englewood campaign. This is a citywide effort that was brought to an idea from council that we really celebrate the wins and everything positive happening in the city. And so we've got little bits of this campaign that have started. We had the big tree at Celebrate Englewood where people could share what they love about Englewood. We have a social campaign of good news on Tuesday where we share all of the different positive things happening within the city on social and just really highlight the good things within the city. And also part of it is highlighting our small business community and encouraging others to visit. And that is our Eat, Explore, Enjoy, that video series that falls under this branding. So we're proposing, we really want a mural that's in the Civic Center, City Center, kind of like what Hillary was saying. We want this area for it to be where people come and can gather and are excited to be when we're having events or people are just coming off of the light rail. So we want it to be a place where we are really have people where they could go and take a picture, highlight, and it really highlights that they are in Englewood. A big part is Englewood does have the art in public places, and this just kind of goes hand in hand with some of those goals. This is our first proposed concept location. It is on the city center. It's kind of where, if you were like looking, that star is exactly where it is. So this one is really great because when either the circle is being utilized or the amphitheater is utilized, both of these locations, it would have high visibility for people to go and see the mural and also take a picture.
So we have multiple options for this mural. Vanessa made a lovely design with the Uniquely Englewood, with the different aspects that we have in Englewood, with the wooden nook tie-in and the hashtag Uniquely Englewood on that first option. And we measured it out for that area. We were thinking an 18-foot by 8-foot mural for that. If we wanted to go simpler, we could have kind of like a social media wall with this Polaroid background where people can take selfies with this option 2, which would be 8 feet by 6 feet. With a lot of these murals, we're thinking of doing some type of stencil and having staff paint it. So just having like a team building event where staff takes time to build a mural together. So this will be a permanent display. Again, we were thinking it was going to happen this summer, but we need a little bit more time for logistics. So we're aiming to get this ready for summer 2024, and that way we can implement it with the internship program and have an internship team building day with them, but also invite staff who want to volunteer their time to make this mural on the building. So we made some general guesses on paint that we'll be utilizing for this project. This is the cost estimate for the bigger mural, and it's around $1,000, so $932. The life cycle of these materials are 5 years, and we would just reseal every 5 years for $100 with a sealant. The artist fees would be 0 because we've already designed them, and the only cost would be staff time to install it. So that is what we have for our presentation. Our biggest question is, do we have permission to have this mural on the side of the building? And with EEF, it's the dissolution of EEF, will we have to go somewhere else to get permission? And what would the next steps be in order to make this mural happen?
Yeah, great question. So we can vote today to approve, you know, as long as EEF owns the property, to approve you doing this.
Perfect.
And then, I hate to say it this way, it becomes a legal question and a legal interpretation in terms of decisions that are made by the EEF board, are those going to be honored by the successor maintenance manager? And if they just, if there's a blanket agreement that basically just says, yes, decisions made by EEF are going to be honored, then you're all set.
Okay.
If that's not the case, then you would need to go back to the successor. However, the successor is likely to be the city or a contracted third party through the city. So there won't be a board or any process like this. So it'll be more straightforward. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't give specific clarity. I would encourage you, if we do approve it today, I would probably send an email to Tamara tomorrow and just tell her, what we approved and ask, could this be included in, agreements the city is establishing, or what would that look like for the successor agency to use?
Okay, sounds good. I can do that.
Awesome. But what, Jackie and Christina, do you have any questions?
I just appreciate the presentation. The proposed details is very easy to understand, and appreciate your list of questions, the answer. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina?
Yeah, I think this is awesome. Definitely we need some art on the walls here at the Civic Center. So I think this is a great start to that. For today, do you need us to decide on option 1 or 2? Or are we just going to give you the permission, Tim, I guess this is your question, to move forward with one of these come next summer?
I want to put it right back onto you, Christina, and say that we could approve this in 3 ways. We could just say we approve the placement of a mural per the designs, or we could say we approve option 1 or option 2.
I think we do not, number 1.
Yeah.
Just go forward with
the
approval to do something on this wall. Because I think it'll determine who our intern is. They might have a better talent than we expect and come up with something really cool. I think both of these options are amazing and both would look great on this wall. I do want to point out that this location to the right side of it, we typically put porta potties for events. So I would move it closer to that bike rack a little bit. I think from visibility, it's not hidden behind that tree as well. So I'm sure you guys have looked at it and thought about that, but yeah, I would go closer to that window where the library is. I would recommend we move forward with just approving arts on this wall.
Great. And I have one comment, a few questions. Just the first comment is, I really appreciate this on so many levels. Number one, I appreciate the thought that went into this, the detail, down to the $40 for painter tape. So I appreciate how detailed you were. I also appreciate the organic process, and one that you want to involve interns, you want to involve the entire city workforce in it. I think that's phenomenal. I also think there's a lot of power in public art. While kind of the long-term ideas around this space are being contemplated, I think like the presentation we just heard from the EDDA and this one are examples of how we can activate the space in the interim. And then, I think it would be a great community project. The only question I had, and maybe this is even more for Christina or for you, Lucia and Vanessa, which is, my understanding is that the Cultural Arts Commission is interested in murals around the city. So how does this kind of fit or tie into that larger kind of mural plan?
Yeah, so as we know, the Cultural Arts Committee is somewhat limited in their funding. However, we have the placemaking and wayfinding funding where we can probably take it out of that. I mean, this is a pretty low cost for a mural when other murals are coming in quoted at $5,000 to $15,000, and this is $1,000. So I think we can take funds out of the placemaking and wayfinding line item there for this.
And Tim, to your point, so we have also presented to the Cultural Arts Commission as well, and we scouted 2 other locations along the 3400 block that we think would be really great opportunities for murals as well. And one of our ideas was to have some kind of mural at the 2024 block party. That's just something we were going to present again to the Cultural Arts Commission next year when they have their re-upped budget.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion on the table?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve artwork on the northwest side of the Civic Center building close to the library.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Don't hear any opposed. I don't hear any opposition. Congratulations. So as far as EEF is concerned, you have permission to do it. I would just check with the city attorney's office on how that permission parlays into the future if EEF doesn't exist anymore.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you
you.
for taking your time to listen to us.
Yeah, have a great day.
All right, you too.
All right. So before we start, and thanks Trey and Melinda for your patience. We have a couple items left. So I guess my preference is to just try to get through them. If it gets to be 5 and we're not done, I'll just take a poll of Christina and Jackie to see if you'd rather go an extra 15 minutes or schedule another meeting for next week, but that's where I'm at right now. All right, so I will pull up your presentation as well, and I'll turn it over to you to present the sign improvements.
Thank you. Yeah, and our first request is to add signage at the fountain. And you can go to the next slide. And we would like to add the signage because there is continual vandalism at the fountain, and especially the soaping. And so far this year, there have been 3 incidents to date. There was one on June 6th, and they discounted to shut off the fountain and clean that one up a little bit. And then there was another incident on June 12th, and then a third on July 7th. And it typically costs about $1,760 per incident to shut down the fountain and clean the soap out of it and so forth. And this year we have filed police reports for each incident. And then also we were able to confirm that currently there aren't any security cameras covering the fountain. And apparently there's security cameras covering like the amphitheater and the walks around the Civic Center, and then also the upper part of the parking garage, but nothing specifically for the fountain. And this year, IT wasn't planning on including anything for the fountain, but it would be something that we would be able to look at in 2024 if we wanted to. And the next slide. And we are going to ask to add signage that acts of vandalism will be prosecuted. And I have had the city attorney's office confirm that text would be acceptable. And there's currently these 3 post signs around the fountain, and we had wondered about adding the sign to these existing locations. And so the next slide. And then right now, again, we're able to confirm that text would be acceptable if we'd like to move forward. And then we will get a proposal from Fast Signs, and depending on the number and the size and text used, we would like to fund this request through the EEF fund number 85-8501-55401, which is the R&M general. And so we still have significant budget remaining there to fund this request. So we're requesting approval to install signage to deter the continued vandalism at the city's signature fountain. And we know that the solutions to this problem are limited right now, but additional signage has been suggested as one option. So we just wanted to get your input and possibly approval. And if there are any questions, I'd be glad to respond.
Thank you, Melinda. I really appreciate it. The work you and Trey have done on this is something I talked to Victor about, I think after the second one. So I'm glad, second incident. So I'm glad to see it before the board. Jackie and Christina, do we have any questions?
No questions?
No.
Yeah, I guess my only question is, and I mean, obviously I know what vandalism means. I obviously know it includes a lot of things, but because the issues have been really specific to the fountain, and I'd like to get everybody's input on this, I'm wondering if the language should be something like vandalism to or tampering with the fountain. Or I'm just wondering if we should include tampering and include the fountain explicitly. I don't know what you think. What do you think, Christina and Jackie?
Yeah, I think that would, tampering is a good word. I don't know about specific to the fountain, but being that we keep having issues with that, maybe that is the direction to go, calling it out specifically.
Jackie?
No, I think the proposed solution looks good to me.
Okay. Other thoughts from Melinda or Trey on adding anything, or you're fine with the way it's written?
Yeah, and currently, of course, there's other issues with vandalism. And Trey can attest to mostly graffiti that is scrubbed off, and of course the RTD elevator is a continual source of vandalism that ends up shutting the elevator down. But this signage was more specific to the fountain, and because of the soapings, and that we had a number of them at the first part of the season. So I don't know, that adding the text specific to the fountain, if there would be advantage to that, because that is what we were trying to address with signage.
Yeah, I think because those signs will only be around the fountain, so I think it works for that because there is more to soaping and the tagging. So I think though that wordage won't be everywhere, so I think that people would know that it's just in this general area. So
Okay, great. So in terms of adding the term tampering, it sounds like Christina, you're in favor of that, but Jackie, you're not. Christina, are you in favor of it?
I like it. It covers a little bit more tampering, whether they soap it or do something else.
I agree. So I'll make a motion then that we approve the signage as requested by the Public Works Department to add language to existing signs that reads active vandalism will be prosecuted, with the addition of tampering, so it reads active vandalism and tampering will be prosecuted. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Christina, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, the next one is bike rack.
Yeah. So
Oops.
stand there.
When I click on the bike rack PP, this pops up again.
So continue rolling down.
Yeah, I tried that. Is it in the same file?
They were submitted as two separate files.
Yeah, unless I'm doing it wrong, but I'm clicking on the bike rack PP and the EEF improvement request signage at Fountain is what pops up.
Tammy, if you enter page number 24 to the PDF, that will lead you to the right slide.
I'm not sure where you're looking, Jack. Yeah, so when I click on the agenda, I go to item F.
Yeah.
Bike rack at Civic Center. And I click
I
on
can
bike.
share my screen, Tim,
Okay, that'd
if
be
you
good.
want me to. Okay,
Yeah.
I think Victor got it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and this, the request to add a bike rack at the entry to Civic Center was actually came from a citizen. There, you can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. There was a resident concern about the location of the bike rack at the south entrance into Civic Center. You can see it in the corner of the slide where that existing bike rack is, and it's pretty set almost closer to the parking garage, and it is fairly dark there. And then also, especially for kids that are locking their bikes up, the location is not within view of the security guard inside. And yeah, you can see, thanks. That's where the current seat is and pedestal where that guard typically sits. And so going to the next slide. Thanks. And the request is to add the bike rack closer to the main entry doors. And it looks like installing a bike rack adjacent to where the book returns are, between where the book return is and that concrete column. It doesn't appear to create any issues with building access there. And then also at that location, security will be able to see the rack and people parking their bikes and getting them locked up before they come into the building. And we're looking at, actually, Parks and Rec currently have a number of different styles of bike racks, but we would like to look at using the configuration like is used through downtown, a little bit more decorative or fun for to complement the entry into the building. So that would be a photo of the type of rack that we're looking at using. So, and currently we're anticipating minor direct costs from the EEF funds because Parks and Rec does have the extra bike racks to install at this location. And we would have the installation provided by a contractor and coordinated with Parks and Rec delivering the rack for them to install. And so we're requesting approval to install an additional bike rack at the south entrance to Civic Center. And this is in response to a citizen's concern that the bike rack be within view of the security guard at this entry. There are often individuals hanging out not far from where the current bike rack is in the parking garage, and parents have voiced concern that this places kids in a vulnerable position, that parents will feel more comfortable having their kids chaining up bikes within view of the security guard. And so I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, I think this is a great example of something that came organically from a community member and went through the steps in the process. And yeah, I think it's a great idea. Any questions?
When you said there's a minor cost, what is that going to be for the contractor to install?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it would be just for to have a contractor come in and install the rack for us.
Okay, we're thinking like under $500. I think do we have an idea what that cost is?
I would guess, Trey, do you have a feel for that?
It'd be, I'm sure 100, under 1,000, but I'm sure no more than 500, you know, especially if we have the material and all they're doing is installing, I don't think it'd be much.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, and it looks like, I just realized seeing the ones in downtown, it looks like we'll have to paint it too, but that won't be too much additional cost.
And I don't know if this is maybe for the next one or this one, but understanding that Mel England, the sustainability budget, was going to pay for one or both of these. Is that correct? Or are you asking for EEF money for them?
So, and actually that will be a different presentation, and that's what she's proposing is adding bike lockers. So that would be in a different location, and in addition to this bike rack we're looking at adding.
So the funding for the rack would come from EEF, and the funding for the lockers would come from the general fund sustainability budget?
Yeah, Tim, Victor here, I can jump in. So the funding for the rack that we're talking about now is just funding for the installation, given city staffing levels, et cetera, at the moment. And so, yeah, I would imagine it'd be in the couple $100 range, because it'd really just be coring into the concrete and then installing the appropriate bolts and locking mechanisms. And then, as Melinda mentioned, depending on the condition of the paint, the rack may need to be painted. As far as Mel's budget, that is the bike locker ask, which is, I believe, the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification. I was looking at the bike lockers, and we're talking about bike locks, right?
Yeah, bike rack. Yeah, we've got two
Sorry,
bike things on the agenda today.
Yeah. So how many racks are we looking at?
Yeah, we would be just adding the one.
Only one. Okay. One bike one.
Correct.
Great. Do I have a motion on this then?
I can make a motion to add one bike rack closer to the main entry doors.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great, not hearing any no's or abstentions, motion passes. All right, we're at 5:07. and we have
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're at 5:07 and we have 3 things left. If I have to guess, it would be another 15 minutes or so. Jackie and Christina, do you want to just go through it, or do you want to pull these to another meeting?
I'm okay. Go.
I'm fine with, yeah, because
Okay.
staff member are here, so I
Yeah.
can.
The staff, Trey and Melinda and Victor and Michelle, are you okay going another 20 minutes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That works fine.
Michelle?
Yes, that works fine for me too.
All right, thank you for your flexibility. So yeah, someone else can maybe pull up the next one too. The EEF improvement request number 3, bike lockers.
All right, is everybody seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, let me turn on my camera here. So, Victor Rochelle, Director of Public Works, I'm going to cover this item. And so this request is for approval of installation of bike lockers on EEF property. So the request, as I mentioned, is for bike lockers, and this comes as a collaboration with staff, city staff, and their request for a way to secure their bike and stuff if they ride to the office. So we are currently evaluating several options for bike lockers. These bike lockers are fully enclosed and secured. And most bike lockers that we are looking at, one locker will actually hold 2 bikes. You can see that kind of demonstrated here on the center image. And so there's a door on each side, and you basically back your bike in. And these can accommodate mountain bikes and some of the larger bikes, having used these style myself personally. At the moment, the estimates, we are looking at a couple of different options. The bike locker estimate cost is $2,700 to $3,500 per locker. And depending on space available, we are evaluating 1 to 2 lockers. That'd be either 2 or 4 bikes total on EEF property. So we looked at locations, we walked the garage, and being conscious of parking and those requirements, we've identified 3 locations. We have a preferred location, and then we have 2 alternate locations. So our preferred location is what you see on the screen here. Looking at the image on the left, this is looking north, and you can see we've got our motorcycle parking, and there's signage on the concrete column indicating that. And the red area is where we are looking at potentially placing 1 or 2 of those bike lockers. And you can see it. This is the other image on the right-hand side looking south, where those bike lockers would go. A secondary location that would impact approximately 1 parking spot is on the west side of the parking lot. You can see the ramp going to the upper deck in the image. The locker would basically be where you kind of see this white truck and would extend into the striped area here. Now, we will need to continue to coordinate. I've already started discussions with community development on parking requirements for Civic Center and our parking ratio. And we're working towards feedback if this is acceptable to take 1 or 2 parking spaces, and hope to have that answer soon. Again, this is not our preferred location. Our preferred does not impact any parking. But if we had to, or we wanted to expand this in the future, we're trying to confirm these locations are viable from a parking impact standpoint. The last location is actually right across from, and I'm going to go back a few slides. If you're looking at our primary location, you can actually see that red vehicle. It's just across the drive aisle there, just south of the motorcycle parking. These parking spaces are at an extremely odd angle. You kind of have to go around, and they are utilized. And so this is our least preferred location. And we are looking at 2 parking space implications or impacted spots at this location if we advanced. And again, this is our least preferred location. Financial implications. Again, this one also has minor impacts from a cost perspective for EEF. Coordination, as Tim mentioned a little earlier, we've been coordinating with the city's sustainability group, Mel, and her budget. She's got a little bit of money available, and Public Works would match those funds out of Public Works budget for the purchase of those items. And then, as similar to the bike rack, we would have installation done by a contractor, and we would coordinate with departments and anybody that may be slightly impacted or directly impacted to get on the location for installation. A prime example, motorcycle parking. We do have folks using those. We want to make them aware at a minimum of what's going on, so when they park one day, they're not surprised. Public Works would run the bike locker program. This would be typically a 1-year agreement with whoever decided to utilize the space. It would be for city staff only. It would be free of charge, and we would renew that every year. It'd be first come, first serve. We'd work with communications to send a message out. We do know we have staff that bike to work several times a week or a month, of course, weather dependent. And we believe this would be a great service to them, and also encourage, kind of that healthy aspect of the city's strategic plan, and also adding additional things from a staff retainage standpoint, additional benefit to working here at the Civic Center.
Great,
And
thank you. Thanks for that report. I really appreciate it. Christina and Jackie, do you have any questions?
Quick question. Do we know how many staff biking to work?
We do not know the total number. I am personally aware of at least 2 staff that bike to work.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
finance has 1 person.
Mel did do a survey about a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
I could certainly ask her if she has that data.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, we also see this as a little bit of a pilot. There's obviously some financial implications if this goes well. We could look to expand into all three areas, and maybe we tiptoe into this with one area. At the moment, acquiring 4 spots or bike locker availabilities. And then if it's successful and we get high demand, we could certainly look to ramp that up.
Victor, is the plan to keep a lock on these bike lockers when they're not being used?
So the bike lockers have the models that we are looking at actually have a built-in lock into the mechanism itself. So it's really just a key. There's not a lock that can be cut off. One of the things that will be part of the agreement is if the individual who signs up to use that locker loses the key, there is a $25 rekeying fee that they would need to reimburse the city for.
Perfect.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Is there a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to move forward with option 1 by the motorcycle parking.
Is there a second?
I'll second to install 2 bike lockers. 1 or 2.
Okay, great. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. We're on to 4H. And yeah, thank you. This is great. Installation of topsoil and mulch at all the planting beds surrounding the fountain and plaza. Request for approval.
How's
It's coming
everybody
from
doing?
Trey. Hey,
Yeah.
Trey.
Hey, yeah, so a few months ago, we had all the dead bushes around the front circle area removed. And now it's just kind of bare. There's no mulch in there. There's no topsoil or anything. So I think us, putting topsoil in and mulch helps with trip hazards because it's pretty deep right now. And also brightens up the place. I always love seeing, fresh mulch out there. I know the red mulch, always looks good. And yeah, that's all I have for that. They'd be doing, like I said, 2 to 3 inches of the topsoil, and then the rest would be the red mulch. And I thought of that because when you sent that email out about the mulch kind of everywhere after that storm, I was like, I need to look at everywhere else. And that was pretty bare right over there. So.
Great. And Trey, I just want to say I really appreciate the proactive approach you and Melinda and Victor and others are taking. Not just to keep up the maintenance as we're kind of in this transition period, but to do the best job that we can and to make it look as nice as possible and efficient as possible. So I just really wanted to say thank you for that.
Definitely.
Any questions? All right, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve adding new mulch and soil to the planters around the Civic Center Circle.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. All those opposed, abstaining. All right, motion carries. And we have one more left, which is 2023 dead tree removal. Trey?
Yeah, so there's 7 trees around the front circle that are in pretty bad shape. I didn't know kind of when to start the process of it because I know during Christmas time we like to wrap the trees and it looks really nice. It's like the half circle. Both levels. There's like 3 levels of trees. I don't know if we should remove them now or wait till the after Christmas and get those removed. Either way, they need to be out of there just because I know. At a certain point, they're gonna either break or fall, with the winds or the heavy snow. So that's the plan.
Great,
I have
thank
a quick
you.
question.
Yeah.
Which vendor do we use to remove trees? It seems like city has a couple.
Yeah, we use TerraCare, so they are in charge of the outdoor, from the sprinklers to the cleaning. Kind of, they do everything, and so they're always, sending me pictures of dead trees, and I always can go to them and ask for a quote real quick, and then they're always happy to do it. So, and they plant them also. So the other plan was in the springtime, we, come back and see if we can get it approved for, them to get planted. But I don't know, the transition we have right now, I don't know how that'll work, but I think those need to get replaced.
And also for clarification, the quotes we included have Arrowhead Landscaping on as the header, but this is the new name for TerraCare. So we're still they're still transitioning to their new logo and new company name, but this is actually still TerraCare that would be doing this work for us.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions?
I think I'm with Trey. I'm not sure if we should remove now from a safety standpoint with the weather we've had with a lot of rain and winds. I would say probably as soon as possible. But I agree, the tree lighting, we do decorate those trees. Is there a plan to replace these or just remove?
Yeah, so right now it's just removing, and like I said, it'd probably be in the springtime of next year that we plant them. I don't think those trees are too brittle. There's some other ones that have fallen, and those are really bad, but these ones aren't too bad. They just don't have any leaves on them. So I think we should be fine until Christmas, after Christmas, and then we can get them removed. But also, you never know.
I would probably remove them sooner than later. We'll figure out Christmas, and there's enough trees decorated, and the focus is on the big tree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think the motion is just to approve, and then, Trey, it's at your discretion around like when it would be safe to do, when your discretion and the vendor's discretion on when it would be safe to do. All right, you have a motion?
Can make a motion to remove remaining dead trees around circle on Englewood Parkway.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Great, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey, no opposition, no abstention, motion carries. Great. And this has been one of my longest meeting at least ever. But so I appreciate Jackie and Christina, you sticking it through, and thanks again to Victor, Melinda, Trey, and Michelle for also doing the same. So, all right, with that, I'll do have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you. And Michelle, I'll be in touch once I hear back from Mike about scheduling a meeting either late next week or on the week of the 21st, as I'll be gone the week of the 14th. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.